Talent without consistency is like a sports car without fuel. Impressive, but ultimately going nowhere fast. Welcome back to LMJ English, where we don't just teach you English. We teach you how to transform your life through powerful ideas expressed in clear, beautiful language. Today's story will challenge you, inspire you, and perhaps even change the course of your future. It's not just about learning new words. It's about discovering the one principle that separates dreamers from achievers. Before we dive into this life-changing journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Join our community of growth-minded English learners who understand that mastering a language goes hand in hand with mastering life itself. Are you ready to discover how small, consistent actions can create extraordinary results? Let's begin our exploration of consistency, the silent force that has the power to completely transform your reality. The silent force behind success. Success doesn't arrive with a thunderous applause or sudden revelation. It creeps in silently, built by thousands of tiny decisions made day after day when no one is watching. This is the story of consistency, the most underrated yet powerful force in human achievement. Consistency isn't glamorous. It doesn't make headlines, yet it holds the key to transforming ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. What exactly is consistency? At its core, consistency means showing up again and again, especially when you don't feel like it. It's the mother who wakes at 2 a.m. to feed her crying baby despite bone-crushing exhaustion. It's the student who practices speaking English for 15 minutes every single day, regardless of how busy life becomes. It's the artist who creates one small piece daily, even when inspiration feels distant. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about persistence through imperfection. Consider the bamboo tree, one of nature's most powerful symbols of consistency. For 5 years after planting, nothing visible happens. No shoots, no visible growth, nothing to indicate life exists beneath the soil. Yet, during this seemingly dormant period, the bamboo develops an elaborate root system underground. Then suddenly, in the 5th year, the bamboo shoots upward, growing up to 80 feet in just 6 weeks. The question emerges, did it grow in 6 weeks or 5 years? The answer, of course, is 5 years, because true growth happens in the unseen moments of consistent nurturing. This metaphor perfectly illustrates why so many abandon their dreams prematurely. They water their ambitions for a week, a month, perhaps even a year, but seeing no dramatic results, they declare failure and move on. Meanwhile, those who understand consistency's power continue watering their dreams daily, trusting that beneath the surface, extraordinary transformation is taking place. They recognize that consistency isn't merely about what you do. It's about who you become through the doing. The greatest tragedy isn't that people fail to reach their potential. It's that they quit right before their breakthrough was about to happen. Like the bamboo tree on the verge of shooting skyward, many abandon their consistent efforts just before the miraculous growth becomes visible to everyone. Remember this when doubt creeps in. The moment you feel like giving up might be precisely when your breakthrough waits just around the corner. The psychology of consistency. Beyond its practical benefits, consistency creates profound psychological transformation. Each time you honor a commitment to yourself, waking up early, studying English, exercising daily, you deposit a small token of trust into your self-relationship. With each fulfilled promise, you strengthen your self-respect, gradually building an unshakable inner confidence that no external validation can provide. Conversely, each broken commitment, each abandoned routine, each just this once exception erodes that trust. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through, someone unreliable, someone without discipline. This self-perception then manifests in your actions, creating a negative spiral that becomes increasingly difficult to escape. The psychological damage of inconsistency extends far beyond the missed workout or skipped language practice. It reshapes your fundamental identity. Consistency also serves as the bridge between dreams and reality. Everyone dreams of success, but dreams without consistent action remain forever in the realm of fantasy. Consistency transforms vague aspirations into concrete goals, goals into actionable plans, and plans into tangible results. It's the difference between saying, "I wish I could speak English fluently," and actually becoming fluent through daily practice. Consider the remarkable story of J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter found a home. She faced depression, poverty, and single parenthood, yet she continued writing consistently, day after day. That consistency not only produced one of literature's greatest commercial successes, but also fundamentally changed how Rowling saw herself. From struggling single mother to world-renowned author. Her identity transformation began not with external success, but with internal consistency. Perhaps most importantly, consistency frees you from the tyranny of motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather, influenced by mood, circumstances, and countless other variables beyond your control. Those who depend on motivation inevitably falter when it disappears. But consistency operates on a different principle entirely. Like the mother caring for her child at 2 a.m., consistency draws power not from fleeting feelings, but from deeper commitments, values, and identity. When you build consistency, you no longer need motivation to take action. Your habits carry you forward automatically, regardless of how you feel. Small steps, massive results. The human mind harbors a peculiar cognitive bias. We dramatically overestimate what we can accomplish in a day while severely underestimating what we can achieve in a year of consistent effort. This misperception leads many to attempt dramatic transformations overnight, studying for 10 hours straight, exercising until exhaustion, writing half a book in one sitting, only to burn out and abandon their goals entirely. True transformation happens not through occasional heroic efforts, but through humble, consistent actions performed daily. Consider the power of learning just 3 new English words every day. This modest goal requires perhaps 5 minutes daily, hardly noticeable in your schedule. Yet after 1 year, you would have acquired over 1,000 new vocabulary words, transforming your linguistic capabilities entirely. The math of consistency creates results that appear magical when viewed from a distance, yet are entirely predictable when understood properly. A particularly inspiring example comes from the writer who committed to writing just 1 sentence every day. Some days, feeling inspired, he wrote paragraphs or pages. Other days, exhausted or busy, he fulfilled only his minimum commitment of a single sentence. After 1 year, he had completed an entire book, not through hurried sprints of productivity, but through unwavering consistency. The water drop doesn't shatter the stone through force, but through persistent repetition over time. This principle applies universally across domains. Financial wealth grows not primarily through lottery wins or sudden inheritances, but through consistent saving and investing. Physical fitness develops not through occasional intense workouts, but through regular, moderate exercise. Language fluency emerges not from cramming sessions before exams, but from daily immersion and practice. Relationships deepen not through grand gestures, but through consistent presence and attention. The true power of small steps lies in their sustainability. Anyone can make a dramatic change for a day or even a week. But lasting transformation requires actions you can maintain indefinitely. By focusing on consistency rather than intensity, you create systems that endure beyond the initial enthusiasm. You build momentum that carries you through inevitable periods of low motivation. Most importantly, you develop patience, the understanding that meaningful changes unfold gradually rather than overnight. Remember the ancient wisdom. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your life today reflects not your occasional extraordinary efforts, but your consistent ordinary actions. If you wish to transform your life, begin by transforming your daily habits, no matter how small they may seem. Trust in the compounding power of consistency and watch as tiny droplets of effort eventually carve canyons of change in your life. Consistency through struggle. Life's greatest struggles aren't meant to stop you. They're designed to strengthen you. Yet this transformation only occurs when you persist consistently through difficulties rather than retreating from them. Consider what happens in a gym. The first day brings soreness, discomfort, and a strong urge to quit. But those who return despite the pain gradually transform weakness into strength, building physical capacity through consistent resistance. This principle extends far beyond physical fitness. Every meaningful growth area follows the same pattern. Learning a language initially feels awkward and embarrassing. Public speaking triggers anxiety and self-doubt. Starting a business involves rejection and failure. Yet consistent engagement with these struggles doesn't merely help you overcome them. It transforms them into your greatest strengths. The story of Eric Thomas exemplifies this transformative power. As a young student, Thomas stuttered severely, facing ridicule from classmates and even discouragement from teachers who advised him to avoid speaking publicly. Instead of accepting this limitation, Thomas practiced speaking daily in front of mirrors, recorded himself to identify improvement areas, and deliberately sought speaking opportunities despite continued mockery. Today, he stands as one of the world's most influential motivational speakers, transforming his greatest weakness into his defining strength through relentless consistency. This pattern repeats throughout history and across disciplines. Ludwig van Beethoven composed his most profound works while deaf. Franklin Roosevelt led America through its greatest crises from a wheelchair. Helen Keller became an author and activist despite being both blind and deaf. Their greatness emerged not despite their struggles, but because of how consistently they worked through them. When facing life's inevitable struggles, remember that pain serves as the resistance against which your strength develops. Running from difficulty might provide temporary relief, but it guarantees permanent weakness. Conversely, leaning into challenges with consistent effort ensures that today's obstacles become tomorrow's stepping stones. The question isn't whether you'll face struggles. That's guaranteed. The question is whether you'll use them consistently as tools for growth or excuses for surrender. Perhaps most importantly, consistency through struggle reveals your true character, both to others and to yourself. Anyone can appear strong during easy times. Anyone can seem committed when motivation runs high. But those who show up consistently during difficulty, when no external rewards appear forthcoming, demonstrate something rare and valuable. They prove their commitments transcend convenience. Their discipline exceeds momentary feelings, and their character possesses genuine depth. Remember, struggle is temporary, but the strength gained through consistent effort endures. Pain passes, but quitting lasts forever. The discomfort you face today through consistent action becomes the capability you carry tomorrow. Choose wisely which pain you prefer, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The time factor, respecting your most valuable resource. Time represents humanity's most democratic resource. Everyone receives exactly 24 hours daily, regardless of wealth, status, or circumstance. Yet the outcomes produced within those identical time allocations vary dramatically. The difference lies not in having time, but in how consistently you use it. Consider this sobering truth. The hours you currently waste scrolling social media, watching mindless entertainment, or complaining about circumstances could instead build something meaningful. Imagine reallocating just one daily hour from consumption to creation, from passive entertainment to active learning, from scattered attention to focused work. In a month, you'd have invested 30 hours in personal growth. In a year, 365 hours, equivalent to over 9 full work weeks dedicated to your development. A powerful illustration comes from a story of a petrol pump attendant who dreamed of passing India's notoriously difficult UPSC examination to become a civil servant. Working 12-hour shifts with no formal coaching, he seemed destined for disappointment. Yet he consistently studied 2 hours every evening and 30 minutes each morning, regardless of exhaustion. While colleagues and relatives dismissed his efforts as futile, his consistent investment transformed minutes into mastery. 3 years later, he succeeded, elevating himself from pump attendant to officer through disciplined time management. Consistency teaches us to value time not as an infinite resource to be casually spent, but as a precious asset to be strategically invested. Those who develop consistency naturally become more protective of their time, more intentional with their focus, and more discerning about their commitments. They recognize that each minute carries potential energy, waiting to be converted into progress toward their goals. This perspective shift creates a compounding effect. As you become more consistent with your time, you simultaneously become more efficient. Tasks that once required conscious effort become automatic. Learning curves flatten. Productivity increases naturally. The same hour that initially produced minimal results eventually generates extraordinary output as your consistency builds skill and eliminates wasted motion. Perhaps most importantly, consistency with time reveals your true priorities. Many claim to value fitness, learning, relationships, or creativity, yet their daily time allocation tells a different story. Consistency forces honest self-assessment. Your actual priorities aren't what you claim to value, but what you consistently devote time toward. If you consistently allocate time to social media, but not to your stated goals, your true priorities have been revealed. The ancient philosopher Seneca observed that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Consistency represents the antidote to time wastage, not by making dramatic once-in-a-lifetime gestures, but through small, daily investments accumulated over months and years. Remember that when you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is this isn't a priority. Choose your priorities consciously. Invest in them consistently, and watch as time transforms from enemy to ally in your journey toward excellence. Opportunity magnetism. One of consistency's most remarkable yet least understood benefits is its magnetic effect on opportunity. Contrary to popular belief, exceptional opportunities rarely appear randomly. They gravitate toward those who have prepared themselves through consistent effort, often appearing lucky to outside observers who didn't witness the thousands of consistent actions that preceded the overnight success. Consider the young artist who posted one drawing daily online, for 3 years. For most of this period, his work received minimal engagement. No viral moments, no celebrity endorsements, no explosive growth in followers. Yet he continued creating consistently, refining his craft daily regardless of external validation. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a major company discovered his portfolio and offered a life-changing project that launched his career internationally. Was this luck? Perhaps partially, but it was luck that found him precisely because his consistency had created something for luck to find. This pattern repeats across countless success stories. The musician who practiced daily for years before being discovered. The entrepreneur who refined her business model through consistent iteration before securing major investment. The writer who published consistently on a small blog before landing a book deal. In each case, consistency created the conditions that attracted opportunity. Why does this happen? First, consistency builds skill to a level that becomes impossible to ignore. When you improve incrementally each day, eventually your capability crosses a threshold where it demands attention. Second, consistency creates a body of work that increases your discoverability. The artist with 3 years of daily posts provides far more entry points for opportunity than someone with occasional, sporadic creation. Third, consistency demonstrates reliability, a trait highly valued by those offering opportunities. Companies prefer partnering with someone who has proven consistency over someone with occasional brilliance but erratic delivery. Perhaps most importantly, consistency positions you at the intersection of preparation and opportunity. As Louis Pasteur famously observed, chance favors the prepared mind. When opportunity arrives, often unexpectedly, those who have been consistently preparing can seize it immediately, while the inconsistent must scramble to develop capabilities they should have been building all along. This principle offers profound encouragement during periods when external results seem absent despite consistent effort. The artist receiving no recognition, the entrepreneur seeing no profit, the student noticing no improvement. All may be tempted to abandon consistency due to apparent lack of results. Yet consistency often works invisibly, building foundations beneath the surface like the bamboo tree, creating magnetism that will eventually attract opportunities beyond anything you could have orchestrated yourself. Remember that your job isn't to control when or how opportunities arrive. Your job is simply to show up consistently, improving incrementally, creating value persistently. Do this long enough, and opportunities will find you with an almost mysterious inevitability. As the ancient wisdom suggests, success comes when preparation meets opportunity, and consistency creates both. Breaking generational patterns. Among consistency's most profound powers is its ability to break generational cycles of limitation. While you cannot control the circumstances of your birth, the family patterns, economic conditions, or cultural limitations you inherited, you absolutely control whether these patterns continue through you. Consistency provides the leverage needed to transform not only your life, but potentially the trajectory of generations to follow. Consider the powerful story of a boy raised in a slum, son of an alcoholic father and a mother working as a domestic servant. Living in a one-room house without proper lighting, everyone around him expected him to follow the same path of poverty and struggle. Yet every night, this boy studied under street lamps, walked 5 kilometers daily to attend free coaching, and maintained his educational discipline despite hunger, fatigue, and discouragement. Today, as an IAS officer, Indian Administrative Service, he hasn't merely changed his own circumstances, he's redirected his entire family's future. His children and grandchildren will inherit possibilities unimaginable in his childhood. all because one person chose to be consistent enough to defy expected limitations. This pattern of generational transformation through consistency appears throughout history. People from impoverished backgrounds building wealth through consistent saving and investing. First-generation college students breaking educational barriers through consistent study. Children of addicts creating healthy families through consistent emotional awareness. In each case, consistency serves as the mechanism that converts intention into intergenerational impact. The mathematical reality of generational change makes consistency's power even more evident. Small, consistent improvements compound not just within a lifetime, but across generations. A parent who consistently invests in education might raise a child who reaches slightly higher, who then raises another child who climbs further still. Within 3 generations, the family's trajectory can completely transform through the accumulated power of consistent effort passed forward. This perspective provides tremendous motivation during difficult periods of consistent effort. When tempted to abandon your discipline, consider that you're not merely working for your own improvement, but potentially breaking chains that have bound your family for generations. Your consistent actions today may echo through decades, influencing lives not yet born. As the proverb suggests, a society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. Most importantly, consistency through generational change requires rejecting the victim narrative that often accompanies difficult backgrounds. Rather than asking, "Why was I born into these circumstances?" the consistent person asks, "How can I use these circumstances as motivation for change?" Rather than blaming past generations for limitations, they focus on building something better for future generations. This mind shift from blame to responsibility creates the psychological foundation for consistent action despite inherited obstacles. Remember that breaking generational patterns doesn't require dramatic, heroic gestures. It simply demands showing up consistently, day after day, making slightly better choices than those who came before you. Like water gradually carving through stone, consistency eventually breaks even the most entrenched generational patterns, creating new pathways where none seemed possible before. Building powerful habits. At its core, consistency isn't about willpower, it's about habit formation. Willpower fluctuates dramatically based on stress, sleep, nutrition, and countless other variables. Relying solely on willpower guarantees eventual failure when energy inevitably depletes. True consistency emerges only when actions become so habitual they require minimal conscious effort. Consider the story of a woman determined to improve her fitness. Her first attempt relied entirely on motivation and willpower. She began enthusiastically, but when emotional challenges arose, fatigue, stress, social pressure, her consistency collapsed completely. Recognizing this pattern, she tried again with a different approach. Rather than depending on feelings, she created environmental triggers that prompted action automatically. Workout clothes laid beside her bed each night, water bottle prepared in advance, a non-negotiable rule that she would walk for at least 2 minutes daily, even when motivation disappeared entirely. This shift from emotion-dependent action to habit-based systems transformed her results completely. Eventually, she progressed from struggling with basic consistency to completing marathons, not because her willpower increased, but because her need for willpower decreased as habit strengthened. Her actions became automatic, requiring little conscious decision-making energy. The science behind this transformation reveals that habits form through a consistent cycle of cue, routine, and reward. By engineering this cycle intentionally, you can develop consistency in any area of life. For language learning, the cue might be finishing dinner, environmental trigger. The routine would be studying vocabulary for 15 minutes, and the reward could be marking progress on a visible tracker. Performed consistently, this loop eventually becomes automatic, operating below conscious awareness. Particularly powerful in habit formation is the concept of habit stacking, attaching new habits to existing automatic behaviors. Rather than creating consistency from nothing, you leverage already consistent actions as triggers. If you reliably brush your teeth every morning, attaching English practice immediately afterward harnesses that existing consistency. If you unfailingly check your phone upon waking, using that moment to review flashcards piggybacks on an established pattern. Perhaps most importantly, strong habits create freedom rather than restriction. While initially requiring discipline to establish, habitual consistency eventually liberates mental energy for higher-level thinking. The writer who has developed a consistent writing habit no longer wastes energy deciding whether to write today. That decision was made once and automated. Instead, creative energy focuses entirely on what to write, dramatically enhancing both productivity and quality. The ultimate aim isn't developing individual habits, but creating entire systems of habitual consistency, what some experts call identity-based habits. When consistency becomes so ingrained that you think, I'm the type of person who never misses a language practice session, or I'm someone who writes daily without exception, your identity itself drives consistency rather than fleeting motivation or willpower. This represents consistency's highest form, requiring minimal maintenance while producing maximum results. Remember that habit formation follows a predictable pattern, difficult at first, easier with repetition, and eventually automatic. The average habit requires approximately 66 days of consistency to fully form, though complex behaviors may take longer. Trust this process, recognizing that today's conscious effort builds tomorrow's automatic consistency. As William James observed, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. The cost of inconsistency. While consistency's benefits receive considerable attention, inconsistency's hidden costs often remain unexamined. Understanding these costs provides powerful motivation for maintaining consistency, especially during challenging periods when abandonment seems tempting. The most obvious cost appears in unrealized potential. Each time inconsistency interrupts progress, you forfeit not only immediate gains, but all future compound growth that would have resulted from continued action. Like prematurely withdrawing an investment, inconsistency sacrifices exponential returns that consistency would have generated over time. The language learner who practices inconsistently might eventually reach intermediate proficiency, but they'll never experience the fluency that consistent practice would have produced. Less visible, but perhaps more damaging, is inconsistency's psychological cost. Each abandoned commitment, each broken promise to yourself, each "I'll start again tomorrow" erodes self-trust incrementally. Eventually, this erosion creates a deep-seated belief that you're fundamentally incapable of consistency, a belief that becomes self-fulfilling as you subconsciously sabotage new attempts at disciplined action. Breaking this negative cycle becomes increasingly difficult with each inconsistent episode. Inconsistency also extracts opportunity costs that rarely appear in conscious awareness. The business never started, the book never written, the language never mastered, the relationship never deepened. These represent invisible losses that inconsistency silently accumulates. Unlike active failures that provide learning opportunities, These passive opportunity costs offer no growth, no feedback, simply possibility evaporated through inaction. Perhaps most sobering is inconsistency's competitive cost. While you practice inconsistently, someone else commits fully. While you skip sessions, someone else shows up daily. While you start and stop repeatedly, someone else maintains unbroken progress. The young filmmaker who spent evenings scrolling social media while his counterpart created weekly short films discovered this truth painfully when years later, their paths diverged dramatically. One working in Hollywood, the other still dreaming of starting. The cost wasn't merely personal stagnation, but relative decline compared to consistent competitors. Time's relentless passage makes inconsistency particularly expensive. Unlike material resources that can be replaced, time once lost cannot be recovered. Each inconsistent period represents irretrievable time that could have been invested in growth. This reality becomes especially poignant when considering legacy, the story of your life that remains after you're gone. Will that story feature dreams pursued consistently or perpetually deferred? Potential realized or permanently untapped? Understanding these costs doesn't mean punishing yourself for past inconsistency that serves no productive purpose. Rather, it means recognizing inconsistency's true price tag before making decisions about today's actions. When tempted to skip your language practice, postpone your creative work, or abandon your exercise routine just this once, calculate the full cost of that decision, not just immediate consequences, but long-term compound effects. Remember that consistency and inconsistency both create momentum, but in opposite directions. Consistency builds forward momentum that makes each subsequent action easier. Inconsistency generates backward momentum, making restart increasingly difficult. Choose your momentum direction consciously, understanding that today's decision affects not just today's results, but your trajectory for weeks, months, and potentially years to come. Your legacy of consistency. The ultimate test of your life will not be what you dreamed, planned, or intended. It will be what you actually did consistently, day after day, year after year. This truth, while perhaps uncomfortable, contains profound wisdom for directing your daily choices. Consider two contrasting stories. A man frequently spoke about writing a book, developed elaborate outlines, discussed his ideas passionately, but never actually wrote consistently. When he died, people remembered him as someone with unrealized potential, a dreamer whose dreams remained forever locked within his imagination. Contrast this with a woman who dreamed of educating girls in rural villages. Rather than merely discussing this aspiration, she began immediately teaching one girl at a time, expanding gradually through consistent daily effort. Upon her death, thousands mourned her passing. A school was established in her name, and countless lives have been transformed because she lived her purpose consistently rather than merely dreaming about it. Which legacy would you prefer? The answer seems obvious, yet our daily choices often contradict our legacy aspirations. We pontificate about dreams while procrastinating on the consistent actions that would realize them. We speak of transformative goals while maintaining habits that ensure mediocrity. We envision extraordinary futures while making ordinary choices daily. Your legacy begins forming not when you die, but through what you do consistently today. Each consistent action deposits a small but permanent contribution toward the story others will tell about your life. Each inconsistent day subtracts from that potential narrative. This perspective transforms seemingly mundane daily choices into profound legacy decisions. That language practice you're considering skipping isn't merely about today's progress. It's about whether your life story will include mastering a second language. That creative project you're thinking of postponing isn't just about this week's productivity. It's about whether you'll be remembered as someone who created or merely consumed. Beyond external accomplishments, consistency builds an internal legacy equally important: the person you become through your daily habits. Consistent curiosity creates wisdom. Consistent compassion builds character. Consistent courage develops moral strength. While external achievements may constitute your public legacy, this internal transformation represents your personal legacy, the quality of being you experience throughout your journey. Perhaps most importantly, consistency allows you to finish life without regret, that corrosive emotion stemming from knowing you could have accomplished something meaningful had you only maintained discipline. Few deathbed reflections prove more painful than recognizing opportunities permanently lost through inconsistency. Conversely, few provide more satisfaction than knowing you consistently invested in what truly mattered, regardless of external results. The invitation stands clear. Begin building your legacy of consistency today. Don't wait for perfect circumstances, complete clarity, or overwhelming motivation. Start with one small action, performed with absolute consistency, allowing compounding effects to gradually transform both you and your impact on the world. Remember that consistency doesn't require extraordinary talent, ideal conditions, or even exceptional motivation. It simply requires showing up day after day, especially when you don't feel like it. Your future self is watching your present choices, hoping you'll choose consistency over convenience, discipline over distraction, long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. Your legacy isn't determined by occasional moments of brilliance, but by consistent patterns sustained over time. As the ancient proverb suggests, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Begin your consistency journey today and trust that its compounding effects will create a legacy worth leaving. Remember that consistency doesn't demand perfection, merely persistence. You will have bad days. You will miss sessions occasionally. You will face setbacks and failures. True consistency isn't about flawless execution, but about maintaining your general direction despite inevitable obstacles. Like a ship navigating toward a distant shore, minor course corrections and temporary storms don't prevent arrival as long as the overall heading remains fixed on your destination. Finally, recognize that consistency's greatest reward isn't external achievement, but internal transformation. Beyond the skills developed, goals reached, or recognition earned lies something far more valuable. Becoming someone who keeps promises to yourself, who persists when others quit, who builds while others merely dream. This internal character development represents your most precious legacy, influencing not just what you accomplish, but who you become in the process. Your life story is being written right now, one consistent action at a time. Make it a story worth telling. Make it a legacy worth leaving. Make consistency your superpower and watch as it transforms not just your achievements, but your very identity. The choice is yours, and it begins with what you do today and tomorrow and the next day and the next. As we reach the end of our journey through the power of consistency, I hope you found not just new English vocabulary, but a new perspective on creating lasting change in your life. Remember, true transformation isn't about dramatic overnight success. It's about showing up day after day, taking small steps that eventually lead to extraordinary destinations. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to hit that like button and share this video with someone who might need this reminder about consistency's transformative power. Your simple action could be the catalyst that helps someone else begin their own consistency journey. Have you experienced the power of consistency in your own life? Or are you struggling to maintain it in a particular area? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and our community grows stronger when we learn from each other's experiences. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to LMJ English. We deliver not just language lessons, but life lessons that can transform both your English fluency and your personal growth. Click that notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos that blend powerful ideas with practical English learning. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Now go forward and remember, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. One small action today, repeated tomorrow and the next day, can completely change your life's direction. I'll see you in our next video, where we'll continue this journey of growth together. Key vocabulary from the power of consistency. Consistency, noun the quality of always behaving or performing in a similar way, or of always happening in a similar way. Example, his consistency in practicing English every day for 2 years led to remarkable fluency. Perseverance, noun continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. Example, her perseverance through countless rejections finally resulted in getting her book published. Compound, verb to combine and increase in intensity or effect over time. Example, small daily habits compound over months and years to create massive results. Mediocrity, noun the quality of being average or ordinary, not very good. Example, consistency is what separates excellence from mediocrity in any field. Discipline, noun training that corrects, molds, or perfects the mental faculties or moral character. Example, success requires discipline to continue taking action even when motivation disappears. Momentum, noun the strength or force that allows something to continue or grow stronger or faster as time passes. Example, daily consistent actions create momentum that makes progress increasingly easier. Flourish, verb to grow or develop successfully, to thrive. Example, his language skills began to flourish after 6 months of consistent daily practice. Erode, verb to gradually destroy or diminish something. Example, each broken promise to yourself erodes your self-confidence and trust. Transformation, noun a complete or major change in someone's or something's appearance, form, or nature. Example, true transformation happens through small, consistent changes over time, not overnight miracles. Trajectory, noun the path followed by someone or something moving through space or life. Example, consistent daily choices determine your life trajectory more than occasional big decisions. Inevitable, adjective certain to happen and impossible to avoid. Example, success becomes almost inevitable when you commit to consistent improvement every day. Dormant, adjective temporarily inactive or not showing signs of activity or growth. Example, like the bamboo tree's dormant years of root growth, your progress may be invisible but still developing. Cultivate, verb to foster the growth of something, to develop or improve by careful attention. Example, consistency helped you cultivate not just skills, but also your character and mindset. Sustainable, adjective able to be maintained at a certain rate or level over time. Example, small, consistent habits are more sustainable than dramatic short-term changes. Leverage, noun the power to influence situations or people to get the outcome you want. Example, consistency gives you leverage to transform not just your life, but potentially future generations. Fleeting, adjective lasting for a very short time, passing quickly. Example, motivation is fleeting, but consistency endures through changing emotions. Paramount, Adjective more important than anything else, supreme. Example, making consistency paramount in your approach guarantees long-term progress despite short-term setbacks. Resilience, noun the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. Example, consistency builds resilience, allowing you to bounce back from failures more effectively. Legacy, noun something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor. Example, your true legacy isn't what you planned to do, but what you consistently did throughout your life. Compounding, adjective increasing in value, amount, or significance at an accelerating rate. Example, the compounding effect of daily practice makes year 3 results dramatically greater than year 1 results.